Hey guys, hope everybody is doing awesome. We still have some questions regarding MyFitnessPal, so I thought I'd just do a little video to try to clarify some things for you guys. So you download your free app from Under Armour, the MyFitnessPal. Some people upgrade to premium. I have never paid for premium, and honestly, I think it makes things a little overly confusing. This seems like really intense at first if you've never tracked macros or you haven't even thought about food as far as macros go: proteins, fats, carbs, percentages, grams. If you're totally a calorie in person or have eliminated certain foods or been low carb, okay, this is going to be new. So it's progress over perfection. Prep week is very overwhelming for everybody. There's a lot of questions flying back and forth. So just please be patient and just know that this is a learning curve, okay? So just ask questions and just try to do the best you can. We rock and roll next week, but even next week is like slowly implementing things. Don't think that you have to dive into this going 150 miles per hour, okay? Just think about maybe where your weakness is and start there. So we use MyFitnessPal as a tool throughout this entire program, dedicating this pretty significant chunk of time to learning about the macronutrients, how you like to eat, maybe things that you're missing. All of that kind of stuff is really, really important. So please dedicate these 7 weeks to tracking your foods extremely diligently. If you do that, it will serve you for the rest of your life. I promise you. You definitely do not have to track foods for the rest of your life, but it's very helpful if you dedicate this amount of time to it. Hold on one second. Okay, so you've downloaded MyFitnessPal. It's on your phone. You have some information that you need to input. Please step on the scale and put in an accurate weight. Once you put in your accurate weight, you are not to step on this scale again for the remainder of the 7 weeks. Please do not get on the scale, okay? The scale is total crap. It lies to you. It has no indication of what's actually going on. Your weight goes up and down from day to day, week to week. Please stay off the scale, okay? You can get on, get an appropriate or an accurate number to enter into MyFitnessPal, and then do not weigh yourself again for at least 7 weeks, okay? So accurate weight, accurate height, your gender, that should all be entered in. Then it's going to ask you your activity level, okay? So if you're not going to be participating in workouts and you're like solely focused on nutrition, then go ahead and put in lightly active. If you have a sedentary job, so most of the day you are sitting outside of your workouts, even if you're getting those workouts in, even daily, the majority of your time, even Monday through Friday, is sedentary, go ahead and choose lightly active. If you are very active and you're working out, go ahead and choose the active setting. This is going to give us our baseline calorie amount. So if you find that you are starving after a week or two, you need to adjust. So give yourself enough time to adjust. If you find that you're starving, please let me know. If you feel like it's way too much food and you're really struggling to hit that number, do not feel obligated to hit that baseline calorie amount. Definitely creep up to it. We're not about stuffing ourselves just to hit our macros. I want you guys to eat until you're satisfied. That's the goal. And if you're ramping up your fiber, ramping up your protein, things that you might not be used to, you might be satisfied much more quickly, especially with whole foods. If you give your body foods that are full of yummy things, sorry, it's like really exciting right now, I'm trying to move this, you're satisfied, okay? So you might not eat as much. So just kind of keep that baseline calorie amount. So once you get all of those things entered in, that is your baseline calorie amount. However, we're not really concerned with that calorie amount. We want to focus on what is in those calories, okay? So every day we're going to focus on hitting protein, okay? So the way that your MyFitnessPal will automatically set you up is with 20% protein, 30% fat, 50% carbs, okay? I would say go ahead and just keep that as your, sorry, I'm trying to make you guys busy here. I'm trying to get some better lighting. Go ahead and make that your daily setting, okay? And go ahead and do, I think you can switch in MyFitnessPal and you can show things in grams instead of percentages. But I want you to do some math with pen and paper and actually figure out what your target amount of protein is in grams, okay? So it's your baseline calorie amount, whatever that calorie amount that MyFitnessPal gives you at the top, okay? You're gonna times that by 20%, which is 0.20. So that gives you your calories in protein. Protein has 4 calories per gram, so then you're gonna divide by 4. Okay, so if I had 1,500 calories and I times it by 0.20, that gives me 300. Divided by 4 would be 75. So that means that I'm trying to hit 75 grams of protein every single day. Your protein goals are not going to change. So once you learn what 75 or 100 or 115 grams of protein looks like, you're going to be able to nail it day in and day out, okay? It's going to take some work to understand different protein sources. I don't want you guys eating the same foods day in and day out, okay? On low carb days, I tend to be more animal based just because it's a little bit easier. On strength days and any other days of the week outside of low carb days, I try to get as many plant-based proteins in as I can because most plant-based proteins offer protein and carbs. So on a low carb day, we're trying to skip out on the carbs. So I don't want to bring in beans and quinoa and things like that that are more higher in carbs. Okay, you get your MyFitnessPal set up with those settings, your height, weight, gender, either lightly active or active. I would say if you have 20 plus pounds of fat to lose, not saying I just want to lose 20 pounds and I want to be 20 pounds lighter so I see the number on the scale that I like. I'm talking actual fat. Like if your body fat percentage is on the higher end and you feel like you have 20 plus pounds of fat, body fat to lose, I would go ahead and start out with a lightly active setting for your calories and see how you feel. This can always be adjusted, so please give me feedback on that. But we don't want to overestimate our calories because if you're in a surplus, you're going to gain, okay? So doing this kind of gives us that safe zone as far as our baseline calorie amount goes. If you are breastfeeding, please go ahead and choose active setting. You need more calories, okay? So yes, if you have more than 20 pounds, go ahead and drop it down to lightly active, even if you have an active lifestyle, okay? I want your calories to be appropriate. So do not enter in your exercise into MyFitnessPal. It will take back out your calories and it gets very, very confusing, okay? So we're just focused on that baseline amount. You're trying to hit that protein amount across the board. So for me, I keep my settings at 20, 30, 50. And on every single day except for low carb days, I'm trying to hit my protein and then I make the rest up with fats and carbs. So on your regular macro days, you really are trying to hit those percentages and you're trying to hit that calorie amount as well. That's why when you switch things into grams, it's a little bit easier to mentally hit those numbers, okay? So on a low carb day, I still want to hit my 75 grams of protein. I'm keeping my carbs as low as possible, right around that 50 net, which is total carbs minus your fiber will give you net carbs, okay? So protein is our number one focus. We're trying to stay away from carbs. So what's going to make up the rest of our calories? Healthy fats, okay? Your percentages are going to be all out of whack on a low carb day, everything except for that protein. Protein, you should be hitting like that 20% mark. Might be a little bit higher on low carb days just because, you tend to kind of gravitate towards more protein. That's fine. But really do not fear those fats. If you don't bring those fats in, you're going to be in a calorie deficit, and that's not the goal. Our goal is just to stay away from carbs and utilize our glucagon a little bit more. So we're not trying to be in an extreme calorie deficit on a low carb day. You can eat, okay? Especially with intermittent fasting, if you're not hitting your calorie amount in your feeding window, it's going to make your fasting periods that much harder because you will be hungry, okay? So don't be afraid to hit your macros in your feeding window, okay? And then you have that nice 16-hour fast before you eat again. So we have low carb days, okay? That's where we hit our protein. We try to stay away from any starchy carbs. We're going to green veggies, cruciferous veggies, lots of healthy fats, a decent amount of protein. 2 low carb days. We have 3 regular macro days, which we, again, hit that protein number, and then we get nice balanced meals with protein, carbs, and fats. We get to bring in a little more snacks, some fruit, get our carbs up a little higher, fuel and refeed from our workouts. And then we have some active recovery and rest days. So on those days, we purposely want to rest and bring down our activity level, okay? So we don't really need a ton of calories because we're not doing as much work. So you're gonna drop everything down by 25%. If you want to get a little bit more aggressive with your fat loss, you could always transfer that to be a low carb day as well. If you're bringing in a higher amount of fats, it might help keep you satisfied and to stay under. So whatever your macros are for the day, like your protein is 75 grams, you're gonna take a quarter of that away, 25% from everything across the board, and you're just gonna keep everything under by 25%. Okay, we'll get into that a little bit more once we kind of focus on our rest and recovery days. Very important. This is a huge part of this program is recovery. That's where your muscles are actually built. They are not built during your workouts. When you're doing your workouts, you're damaging and you're breaking down your muscles, okay? It's those refeeds and your rest days and your sleep that actually makes your body stronger and helps to rebuild everything. So please take your rest days very seriously, okay? Our nutrition is on point. Everything's just brought down a notch, okay, across the board. An easy way to do this is to extend your fast. So maybe if you break your fast at noon, maybe try to push it to 2 p.m., have like a lighter meal, a snack, and then dinner. Okay, there's different approaches, whatever your lifestyle is. That's why I love intermittent fasting so much, is that you can really customize it for your lifestyle. If I go heavy on foods, like I just came back from vacation, I use intermittent fasting every single day. I feel like $1,000,000. I do not feel like I need to detox or sweat it out in the gym. Intermittent fasting was awesome, okay? But say I, like what day was it? I came back Monday, Saturday. I had a lot of yummy foods. I was super, I was full, I ate a lot. So I just extended my fast the next day until I felt like, I was ready to eat again. So it's a great strategy. So that is all about MyFitnessPal and getting your macros all set up. And then it's just about playing around, okay? My number one tip is to pre-plan your day, okay? So you can throw all your stuff into MyFitnessPal the day or the night before or the morning before. See how everything lands. If it's a mess, go in and look at what was too high in fat or too high in carbs or lacking in protein and just manipulate it. And that gives you your game plan for the day. If you have a success journal, write down your foods and your macros in that journal. You can always scroll back through your diary in MyFitnessPal. If you had a day that you nailed your macros, you can go back and look at your diary and see what you ate. But it might be helpful to also just like keep a little food journal if you don't have the success planner on the days where you really figure it out, you feel great, and you nail your macros. Okay? So that's it for now. Again, progress over perfection. Just keep at it and just keep playing around with everything. Be patient. You don't need to nail this right off the bat. Like I said, it's a mindset shift. And depending on where you're coming from, if this is completely new, you might feel overwhelmed. That's completely fine. Just take it one step at a time, okay? Our daily focus is intermittent fasting and nailing our protein. Okay, we can work on the other things. We can work on nailing our low carb days. We can work on nailing our regular macro days, and you can nail getting your workouts in and pairing them with your nutrition. Okay, you want to start with fasting and nailing your protein. Okay, thanks guys. Have an awesome day.